I remember the cold first. Not the darkness, not even the silence, just the cold. It crawled into my bones the same way loneliness once crawled into my childhood. Sometimes I think both were born inside me on the same day. My name is Margaret. I'm a transgender woman in her late 60s now, but back then I was just a young soul who didn't know where she belonged. And tonight, on Oma True Stories, I want to tell you about the night I learned what it truly means to be alone, and what it means to survive it. I grew up in a small town where everyone pretended to know everything about everyone. But no one knew me. Not really. They saw a boy, a quiet one, strange, soft, always lost in her own thoughts. I didn't have the courage or the language to explain what I felt. All I knew was that every time I looked in the mirror, it felt like meeting a stranger I was forced to live with. My father was a hard man. Not cruel, but cold, like a door that had rusted shut from the inside. "Speak louder," he'd snap whenever I answered quietly. "Walk properly," he'd correct when my steps felt too gentle. "You'll never survive in this world if you act like that." But I wasn't acting. I was just me. My mother tried. She did. She brushed my hair at night, humming little old songs, and sometimes I felt her eyes linger on me, searching for something she couldn't name. Margie, she whispered once, my childhood nickname, the name only she used. "Why do you look sad all the time?" I wanted to tell her everything. I wanted to tell her that I wasn't her son, that I wasn't the boy she dressed in stiff shirts and trousers, that inside me lived a girl waiting, aching, begging to breathe. But I didn't tell her. Fear kept me quiet. Fear and the way my father's footsteps shook the floor whenever he was angry. When I turned 19, things didn't get better. They just got louder. Racism was everywhere back then, sharp and careless. I was mixed race, my skin a shade too dark for some people to hide their opinions. Kids at school would whisper, "half-blood," behind my back. Neighbors stared. Shopkeepers followed me like a shadow. And on top of that, I carried the secret of who I really was. Imagine walking through life with two weights, one placed on you by the world, the other by your own chest. That was me. The night everything broke open, I had just told my family the truth. I didn't plan it. I didn't rehearse it. It wasn't dramatic like the movies. It was small, quiet, almost gentle. We were sitting at dinner, my father chewing loudly, my brother poking fun at me, the usual chaos. And suddenly I said it, I'm not a boy. The room froze. My father's fork fell. My brother laughed at first, then realized I wasn't joking. My mother covered her mouth. I felt my whole body shaking. But it was the first time in my life I had spoken as myself. My father stood up. His chair slammed backward. "Don't ever say that again." "I can't hide it anymore," I whispered. "I am who I am. I'm a woman." He pointed at the door. "Get out." My mother cried, begged him to stop, but he didn't even look at her. My brother grabbed my arm, dragged me to the front door like I was garbage being taken out. "People like you," he hissed, "don't belong in this house." When the door slammed behind me, the night swallowed me in one breath. I didn't have money. I didn't have shoes on, just socks. I didn't have a plan. I only had the cold. I walked for what felt like hours, knocking on every door I could think of. Friends, neighbors, people who had smiled at me once, not to stay forever. Just for the night, just until morning. I knocked on Mrs. Patel's door first. She peeked through the curtains, saw me shaking, and whispered something to her husband. Then the lights went out. I knocked on James's house, someone I grew up with. He opened the door, saw me, and flinched like I was contagious. "My parents don't want any trouble," he said, voice trembling. "I'm sorry." He wasn't sorry. I knocked on an old teacher's home. She listened to my whole trembling sentence, then said softly, "You need to go back home and apologize." Apologize for being myself. I kept walking, kept knocking, door after door, face after face. Every rejection made the night colder, but I kept going because stopping felt like dying. Finally, near midnight, I reached the small wooden church at the end of the street. I didn't expect sanctuary. I just needed a place to sit down, to breathe, to be invisible for a moment. The door was unlocked. Inside it was dark, but warm enough that my fingers stopped burning. I curled up on a bench, hugging my knees. Tears rolled without sound, like they were trying not to disturb the silence. I don't know how long I cried. Long enough that the moon moved across the stained glass windows. Then I heard footsteps. Pastor Helen, one of the only black women in town, walked in holding a lantern. She looked tired, like she'd been working late. She sat beside me without asking a single question. "I've been waiting for you," she said gently. My breath caught. "For me?" "You've been trying to disappear for a long time," she said. "People like us, we learn to carry storms, but sometimes the storm gets too heavy." Her eyes were soft. I had never seen someone look at me that way. "What's your name?" she asked, and for the first time I told someone my real name, Margaret. She smiled. "Beautiful name." No one had ever called it that before. She wrapped a blanket around my shoulders and said, "This world will try to crush you, not because you're wrong, but because you're different. But listen to me. Don't let them steal the truth of who you are." That night, she didn't offer solutions. She didn't preach. She just sat with me until the sun rose. Sometimes saving someone doesn't require anything fancy. Just presence. Just kindness. That night didn't end my pain. It didn't magically fix my life, but it changed me. It taught me that even if 99 doors close, one open door can save a life. It taught me that identity is not a crime, that racism and cruelty say more about the world than about me, that being rejected doesn't mean I am unlovable. Most importantly, it taught me that I could survive, and I did. I left town. I built a new life. I grew into the woman I had always been inside. I found community, work, friends who saw me, not the version the world tried to force on me. And years later, when my family finally reached out, older, weaker, suddenly aware of their mistakes, I chose forgiveness. Not because they deserved it, but because I deserved peace. Now at this age, when I walk past doors, any doors, I don't wonder if they'll let me in. I know who I am. I know where I belong. And I know that my truth, my journey, my voice, they matter. If you're listening right now, maybe you need to hear that too. You're not alone. You're not broken. You're not wrong. You are becoming. And I'm right here with you.